Before we begin, please imagine the bell notification is on and you're subscribed to Huna Stories. I was already standing when the room went quiet. Forks froze midair, smiles stalled. The cake candles kept burning, patient and smug. Dad had just said it. "You're not part of us." I felt the words land neat and surgical. No blood, just silence where warmth used to be. I looked at my hands to make sure they weren't shaking. They weren't. That was no. I asked the question lightly. "What time is the departure?" I already knew the answer. I just wanted him to say it. He did. I remember thinking how small the room felt then, how everyone suddenly became very interested in their plates, how my mother didn't correct him, how she smiled like this was mercy. They wanted a babysitter. They wanted me grateful for the privilege. The candles flickered. I breathed in sugar and smoke and something old and rotten. And while everyone waited for me to swallow it like I always had, I finally understood the pattern. I had been useful, never chosen. It hadn't started tonight. He never does. I flashed back to years earlier when family meant late-night calls and promises, when they leaned on me during emergencies, praised my reliability, called me their rock. I mistook dependence for love. I mistook access for belonging. I took the kids when they needed weekends free. I hosted holidays when money was tight. I paid deposits. I covered gaps. I was always included, until inclusion cost them something. Hawaii cost them something. The signs had been there. Group chats I wasn't in, plans that shifted last minute, a silence that grew teeth. I noticed the way decisions were announced, not discussed, the way my role shrank to logistics and labor. Then came the confirmation, an email forwarded to me by mistake, a booking list with names, everyone's name but mine. I didn't confront them then. I never do things in the heat. I plan. So when Dad said I could stay behind and take care of all the kids, I nodded. I smiled. I felt the room exhale, relieved I was still compliant. That was my opening. I spent the next 3 days doing nothing dramatic. I made lists, I made calls, I reviewed calendars. I read the fine print on the things they assumed I wouldn't. I learned who had legal authority over which children. I learned who had paid for what. I learned how thin their margins really were. Then I moved the pieces. I canceled the babysitting I never agreed to, politely, in writing. I forwarded the messages where they assumed my consent. I attached the clauses that said I wasn't obligated. I CC'd the people who mattered. I withdrew the funds I had fronted for accommodations months ago, non-refundable for them, instantly refundable for me. I called the school administrators and clarified guardianship. I notified the sitters they'd been counting on that schedules had changed. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I simply corrected the record. Every move was clean. Every move was reversible by them if they apologized. They didn't. The night before their departure, my phone lit up like a confession booth. Panic dressed up as outrage. How could you do this to family? What are we supposed to do now? I listened. I let them talk. I imagined the luggage by the door, the lays in their heads, the fantasy cracking. Then I said what I'd been practicing since the candles burned low. "I'm not part of you," I said, "so I won't pretend to be responsible for you." Silence. Real silence. The kind that finally tells the truth. They tried bargaining. They tried rewriting history. They tried calling me selfish. I didn't correct them. I didn't need to. The morning of the flight, I returned to that dining room alone. I blew out the candles that had never been for me. I left the keys on the table. I took my name back. They didn't go to Hawaii. Not that week. Not together. Someone had to stay behind and take care of the kids. This time, it wasn't me. I don't feel guilty. I feel precise. I feel lighter without the weight of expectations that were never love. Revenge doesn't always look like fire. Sometimes it looks like boundaries enforced at the exact moment they're needed most. They finally learned who took my place.